Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about some different stuff. We're going to throw a few terms at you maybe you didn't hear about, and maybe an exciting refresh for the Grand Wagoneer. So what is a mid-cycle refresh? Some manufacturers call them something different. I think BMW calls them LCI, life-changing impulse. I don't know. There's different abbreviations. But a mid-cycle refresh is when a current model during the mid-cycle of its life, generally a vehicle has a lifespan of 6 to 8 years. And what I mean by that is before the vehicle gets a full refresh. So like, let's take Wrangler, for example. The Wrangler went from JK in 2007. Well, it went all the way up to 2018 and a half, but that was the life cycle of that. Midway through, the JK got some updates. They changed the interior a little bit. Look at the JL. Started in 2018 or 18 and a half, and in 2024 it got a refresh. So the Grand Wagoneer is probably the early end of it, but it's already due for a mid-cycle refresh. But they got something excited coming for the Grand Wagoneer for this mid-cycle refresh. So another term that we probably haven't heard yet, and maybe this will be specific to Stellantis, but it's called an EREV. So we know what EVs are, electric vehicles. We don't know what BEVs are, battery electric vehicle. We call them PHEVs or PEV, whatever you want to call it. Plug-in hybrid vehicle. And then you've got hybrids. But now there's one called the EREV. Oh, doesn't stand for emergency electric vehicle, emergency room electric vehicle. Extended range electric vehicle. If we rewind a few years, I believe it was not the Harrison Ford, but the previous Super Bowl commercial, they teased at this extended range Ram, what you're calling the Ram Charger. Another great play on words, which we're not going to go into here. What is an EREV and what does it have to do with this Wagoneer? Stellantis has some pretty cool technology. We talk about a lot of EV on here, and we talk about range anxiety. We talk about how far can this vehicle go before it needs a charge. Well, an extended range electric vehicle, an EREV, is basically a full electric vehicle that has an ICE, internal combustion engine, on board, but this engine doesn't actually have a drivetrain. This engine doesn't actually provide any motive power to the tires. This engine is literally like carrying around a generator. Now, first you're gonna think this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but stick with me here. Let's say you're like me and 95, maybe more % of your driving is, I don't know, let's call it 60 miles a day. Truck or an EV still has that 200-300 mile range, but in the winter it's gonna come down. Or maybe you know that you take longer trips once a year, or you take that trip, or you tow with it. We know that's going to come down. We know that's going to hurt range. So the extended range EV is basically a great solution. So for those 99% of the time that you're driving it, it operates like an electric vehicle. It operates on full battery, and you come home or you charge it or whatever the case, and you charge it like an electric vehicle. And that engine up front basically just hangs out, and it's there if you need it. Now, let's say you're towing. Let's say you and the guys are taking a snowmobile trip and you're going up north. Do you want to solely rely on this battery with a snowmobile trailer and on a long trip? Probably not. That's one of the biggest things you see, especially when it comes to trucks. So that's where this Ram Charger came in. Now, Jeep says the Wagoneer refresh is going to be the first Jeep we are going to see with the EREV platform. Now, we know the Wagoneer is basically built on the Ram platform, so the technology in the Ram Charger is going to be super easy just to translate into the Wagoneer. Now, the question I have is, what are we going to see first, the Ram Charger or the Wagoneer? I would be shocked if it's the Wagoneer first, just because we've been teasing this Ram Charger for a long time. But we're going to talk a little bit more about this technology. And in fact, at the Chicago Auto Show, we had the opportunity to talk with the engineers and designers of the Ram Charger, and we look at the chassis, the complete chassis of this vehicle, and talk about how it works, how it operates, and everything that goes into it. So we're going to roll that clip now. All right, so with Nick, and what is your role with Ram?
Ram Communications.
Okay, but we're in front of this Ram Charger, right? We've talked about this on our channel quite a bit. Maybe you can kind of give us a little run through. I know a little bit about it. No drive shaft, basically, correct me if I'm wrong, full EV, and that's a generator, right?
You're spot on. Actually, it's a very powerful generator. So a lot of people are probably familiar with generators in their homes. So this is almost 10 times that amount of power. So it's a very compact but very powerful entity. But yeah, you're right. There's no transmission. There's no drive shafts. There's no transfer case for four-wheel drive. That's because it operates on all electric. There's a front motor, there's a rear motor, and then there's two giant batteries right here. So the best way to say it here is that there's no mechanical connection between the wheels and the gas engine because it all flows on electrons. So let's paint a picture. It's Sunday night, you get home, you're tired, you got your Ram 1500 Ram Charger, you plug it in. The next morning, the batteries will full, you have about 150 miles of electric range. Now most people drive, 25, 30 miles a day, so you got a lot of days for your EV. Yep. You're too tired, you don't get a chance to plug it in. Now comes Friday, and your friends or your family are like, we want to go camping, or we want to go tow the boat somewhere. Not a problem. That range extender kicks on, it gives you about 690 miles of total range if you combine what's in the fuel tank and in the batteries, which is a lot of range. And that's what people are used to with pickups. Yep. They need to be able to tow, haul, and not be affected by range anxiety and the drag that it takes on the batteries. So this is our answer. It's exclusive. Ram's the only one doing this right now, and we're going to make it available the second half of this year.
So I know there was talk of the Ram Rev has been kind of pushed back right now, right? So this is kind of being brought up to the forefront, and this is gonna be a reality shortly. It sounds like, correct?
Yeah, some of the news out there you've seen recently.
Yeah, I don't know what's true or not, right?
No, some of the news recently you've seen that pickup sales for pure electrics just maybe not be what we all thought it was going to be. So this is the product, the Ram Charger is what our customers are asking us for. When we do research, this is the one they always ping to. That's the truck, that's the technology I want, because it is the right tech for this kind of product. It's a larger vehicle and it's a great stepping stone for greater electrification in the Ram brand.
So will this have any, obviously you got your level 3 charger, will this have anything in the bed where if you're at a campsite you can peel power off it or anything like that? Can you talk to that at all?
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys caught the Super Bowl commercial, but there's two chainsaws, electric chainsaw, going to running off at the same time. That's absolutely possible because it's 3.2 kilowatts of power. Now that's like saying a million light years, but it basically can run two electric chainsaws at the same time.
And then this motor, is this the exact same, like this 3.6 Pentastar motor, is that basically the same motor we find in the Wranglers and the Rams and that kind of stuff now? Or is it are there different cams in it and stuff because it's designed to run at different RPMs and that kind of stuff?
So that's a really good question. It is the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, but to your point, because there's no mechanical connection between the engine and the wheels, we can actually have the engine run at its greatest efficiency all the time, making the most amount of power, using the least amount of fuel, so we can actually run it on a special cycle to run the generator at a certain RPM. It's not subject to the normal highs and lows of inputs or jump starts, jackrabbit starts, because you don't have to worry about that. Yep. It starts, it runs at that RPM, the most efficient, maybe a little high, maybe a little low, but definitely in that range, that's the most efficient for that engine to power that generator.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So now that you understand the technology a little bit more, it's pretty unique. You can hop in the truck, and between that battery and fuel, you can go, I think it's 700 some miles. Don't quote me to that. But again, you're not stuck. If you run out of fuel, you run out of power, you fill that thing back up like a gas truck and continue on going. Now, the super cool thing about it is around town, or maybe it's those daily commutes, or the 90% of the time that you are operating this truck, you don't need gas power and you can run off the EV. Well, it's kind of unlike a hybrid, where the hybrid always is using the gas regardless. This will not. This is going to let you use that electric power and come back home and charge it in. Now, the question I have is, this is coming from 4xe World. We know we have fuel in this tank, right? And we know fuel goes bad after a certain amount of time. We know the 4xe gives you, I think it's 90 days before it forces you to use the fuel in your tank. Now, I get it, the 4xe is a different platform, but I gotta suspect there's something in this Ram Charger platform, this EREV platform. There's gotta be something in the computer that's gonna force that vehicle to burn through a certain amount of fuel, or at least require a refresh of some fuel, X amount of gallons. How long will it let you run this vehicle on full electric before it forces us to use the fuel? That's a question I have, because those are some of the misunderstandings with the 4xe. A lot of 4xe owners bought it thinking, hey, I only commute 4 miles to work, I'll never use fuel. Well, that's not really the case. It goes into fuel oil refresh mode, and that's a whole other avenue. But I'm curious, what's that going to look like with this truck? Because now you've got a big range. On the 4xe, it's not that big of a deal. You only have a 25-mile range. It's a hybrid, blah, blah, blah. On this Ram Charger, you're going to have a couple 100-mile range before you need fuel, before the battery runs out and you're using fuel, I should say. So what does that look like? What is the truck going to force us into using the fuel? How long? So I have a lot of questions. Overall, I think this technology is super cool. And I think if you're the type of person, I'm probably looking at myself, that really isn't ready for an EV, because I always say, if I needed to get in my truck right now and drive to Florida and uninterrupted, I could. Now, you could certainly argue that is getting better. And some people could argue in the grand scheme of things, it may only be an hour or two different between electric and gas. It's a whole nother conversation. But in my head, I like the fact that I am not tethered to a cord. So that Ram Charger, to me, is kind of an answer to that, because for the 95%, I'm just using battery. But in that percent, I want to take a long trip or I'm towing something, I'm not stuck to battery. I've got that gas motor sitting under the gas engine, sitting under the hood, ready to give me that electrical power and power this truck along. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this refresh? I'm curious what else we'll see on this refresh. Will there be an exterior change, an interior change? Normally in a mid-cycle refresh, we don't see a lot of exterior. Let's take the Wrangler, for example. We saw a little bit updated on the grille. Obviously, the interior got some additional airbags. It got power seats. The screen was updated. Small stuff, but nice refinements. And rumor is that the Grand Cherokee is due for a refresh, and we're going to see that at one of the upcoming auto shows as well. So, guys, as always, be sure to follow along. Hope you appreciate the video, and let us know what you think about this Ram Charger platform, the extended range EV. So that's something that might fit your lifestyle. So I'm excited to see this new technology come in. I think there's a lot of great stuff, and whether you like it or not, we got a lot of great technology changing and coming. So gas and Hemis might be coming back, but this stuff certainly isn't going to the wayside, which honestly, at the end of the day, just means more options. So as always, like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.